Hello everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a matchup video. So I'm going to be comparing several guns. Not really today, I'm not going to talk about these guns specifically today in this video. I just want to let you know that this matchup or comparison video is going to be coming out, or several short comparison videos where I go outside and test a couple guns or different types of guns. Sometimes from the same manufacturer, sometimes perhaps by different manufacturers when those guns are similar. And I thought about doing this video mainly because of the feedback that I was getting from you guys, my subscribers and followers and whatnot. And quite often you'll ask me, how is this gun compared to this gun? And you know, if you're comparing, let's say, an airsoft BB pistol to a pellet rifle, I mean, really the comparison is obvious. And a lot of times, I'm sorry, but I don't even really reply to that, because how do you compare an airsoft pistol to a pellet rifle? They're just totally different animals. But if you're comparing or asking me a question about two very similar guns that have similar features, similar performance, and you want to know specific things, like say how is the blowback comparison, which has heavier blowback, which shoots better. Sometimes it's really hard for me to even know, because I may have reviewed one several months or years ago and then reviewed the other just recently, and so it's really hard to know without going back and looking at my videos. But even then, sometimes I don't always use the same situation, so I may be shooting it completely different. I may have been shooting offhand with one or rested with another, or one I might have just shot a can and sort of estimated the FPS, whereas with the newer one I may have used a chronograph. So what I'm going to do is put several of these most commonly asked about gun comparisons together and field test these guns head to head. So let's take a look at what we have now. We'll just talk about these four. These are all essentially Cybergun / KWC BB blowback pistols. And I get asked all the time, which one has heavier blowback, which one has better FPS, which one should I get? You know, when it comes down to it, they're all going to perform really similarly. They're all going to have heavy blowback. They're all going to get about the same FPS. They're all going to have similar shots per CO2. Some may be a little more accurate than others, like the sight rail versions here. They're probably going to be a little bit more accurate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the GSG92, which is the P92 KWC, and the Tanfoglio. Well, this isn't the Tanfoglio, this is the TAC A1, and they're both Cybergun / KWC pistols. And I was going to add in the sight rail version of the X5, or the non-sight rail version of the X5, but instead I'm going to do these two together, and then I'm going to do the Tanfoglio Custom with the sight rail X5 head to head. Now this gun should perform very similar to the non-rail sight rail version, so the standard X5, but I would say maybe accuracy will be a little bit better because this has a red dot. So keep that in mind. So these three you could kind of compare together. So these two are going to go head to head, and these two are going to go head to head in one video. And when I do that video, it'll be an outside video, shooting on my chronograph, shooting from 30 feet out using a semi-rested position. I want to get back a little bit so we can see any performance differences between the two, and we'll notice that a little bit more from 30 feet out as opposed to 20 feet out. I'll talk a little bit about, you know, possibly shots per CO2. I'll also talk a little bit about blowback and things like that. Alright, let's take a look at the next matchup. So next up we have our ASG Dan Wesson 8-inch in black, and these are both 4.5mm steel BB shooters, and the Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8. Now I was going to compare the 6-inch to the 6-inch, but you know what? Since the Dan Wesson does come in an 8-inch, we'll just give it that little bit of an advantage, because people are always asking which gun has more feet per second improvement if you go from, say, the 2.5 to the 4 to the 6 to the 8, which is going to shoot a little harder, be more accurate. Now I wouldn't say that accuracy is going to be as big a deal with barrel length. Maybe a little bit, but not so much. It mostly has to do with the sights being placed further apart. That will improve accuracy more than the actual barrel length. But with that said, feet per second performance will improve with longer barrels, so it'll be interesting to see which one of these guns shoots a little bit harder. I have a feeling they'll both be very accurate and both perform very well. So these two are going to go head to head, and that'll give you an idea of which gun you may want to buy. Alright, next up we have some more ASG guns I want to put head to head here. Okay, so we have three ASG guns here. We have the STI Duty 1, which is a 1911 styled blowback BB pistol. Now all of these guns, again, are 4.5mm steel BB shooters, and they're all blowback. We have our CZ75 P07 with a dual tone slide. And we have our Versa BP9CC. Again, all blowback, all have similar type of internal mechanisms in regards to how they shoot. They all perform kind of similarly. Now, I am missing my magazine for this one, so I'm going to have to get the magazine before I can do this video. I might have to just grab it, and I have no idea where it went. That's just the way it goes sometimes. I got a lot of guns, and sometimes things just disappear. I may have actually taken it out of this gun to fulfill an order or something. I'm thinking that's what happened. Probably somebody ordered an extra magazine. I didn't have one, so I just said, here, take mine. You know, why hold the order up? Anyways, I think that's what happened, so I'm going to have to get another magazine for this gun because it's not going to work without it. So that review will be a little bit delayed until I get the magazine. But I do want to put these guns head to head, see how well they perform. Again, chronograph test, give you my impressions on blowback, and also shooting at the target, semi-rested position from 30 feet out. Next up, we have a Gamo and Umarex head-to-head. Alright, so last up for this head-to-head comparison, shootout, I guess you'd call it, I have my Gamo PT85 right here, and I have my Umarex Beretta PX4 Storm. Both of these guns are blowback pellet shooters. Do I have my mag in here? Good, I do. They use these rotary mags with the 8 shots on each end. And they're very similar, oh, wrong way. They're very similar in a lot of ways, like the way they operate, the internal mechanisms. But again, both of them are from different companies, and I do get asked a lot which one is better. You know, I have a feeling they're going to both shoot very similarly. Again, I'm going to do the chronograph and target tests and blowback impressions. A lot of times when people ask me about these two, I usually go for the PX4 Storm, mainly because it's a replica. It's a replica of a real gun in production, whereas the PT85 is not. It looks like a gun, shoots like a gun. It's just not really styled after a gun in production. So I kind of go for the replicas when people ask me which one I'd go for. That would just be my personal preference. But this shootout will be essentially for performance. Which gun shoots better? Which one has higher FPS? Which one has potentially more blowback? Which one is more accurate? Alright, so that pretty much does it for this first round of shootouts, I guess you'd say, or comparison shootouts between these various guns that I've shown you today. I may do some more of these down the road, especially if people ask me a lot about certain guns going head to head. I may just do the same thing for those down the road. Alright, thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video. Don't forget to subscribe before you head out. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns, and also drop by our ReplicaAirguns.com website where we have all kinds of reviews and articles you can check out, along with, in most cases, some detailed photos of these guns. And while you're there, you can also visit our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores where we sell BB guns, pellet guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, knives, and other accessories. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.